Welcome back to the Seekonk Speedway podcast series. This is going to be a fun episode of our 75-year podcast series, of course, talking about the 2021 season, which is that going to be our 75th year of competition. That's up for discussion with 2020 going the way it was. Of course, 2020 supposed to be the 75th season at Seekonk Speedway, but unfortunately due to COVID, it was a little bit shortened with only 10 races on Fast Friday. So next year is definitely going to be the 75th full-time year of competition at the action track of the East, the Seekonk Speedway. Welcome back to the podcast series, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kyle Souza of Souza Media, your host for the show. Looking forward to a great episode talking about what we've got planned in 2021 and also talking about a very, very historic win for one of our Seekonk regulars. In fact, our 2020 Nick's Pit Stop Legend Cars champion, Jake Johnson, who's a two-time Legends champion, a late model and pro stock winner at Seekonk, picking up the biggest win of his career in one of the biggest races of this season every year in the calendar year. This one coming in Florida at the Five Flags Speedway, the winner of the Snowflake 100 just last weekend or 2 weekends ago or 3 weekends or a month ago, depending on when you're listening to this. But Jake picking up the big win. He's going to join us in our final segment of the show to talk about his big win down there and a great interview with him to rehash the final few laps, the emotion of winning live, and the emotion of, a week or two later, letting it sink in and really understanding what he was able to accomplish. I want to start the show, though, by talking about our 2021 schedule. How we're going to do it is we're going to break down some of the highlights, and then we're going to break it down by month to talk about the major events that are coming in 2021. If you haven't seen, I wrote a whole press release about the schedule. It's up on SeekonkSpeedway.com. Walks you through everything in written form. But I figured it'd be good to talk about it in an audio style. Whether you're driving in the car, listening to the podcast, or at home, cleaning, making dinner, good way to listen to what the schedule in 2021 is going to be as I'll point out some of our major points. We're going to be joined a little bit later in the show by Kevin Boucher, the voice of Seekonk Speedway, who's going to talk us through his thoughts on some of the major events in 2021 as we'll highlight those with him in a little bit. Talk about some couple different things. Number one, I mentioned how 2020 went. Everybody knows it. Number two, 2021, we're optimistic about how things are going to go. With the way the vaccines are coming out, of course, the United States is going to start vaccinating people if they haven't already here when you're listening to it. The Pfizer vaccine's coming out, Moderna vaccine coming. There's positive news around the vaccines, and we're feeling confident about 2021, especially as an outdoor venue in a year where the vaccine's going to be in place. Going to be back to a little bit warmer weather by April or May when we're getting running. We're feeling confident that we can get some racing going at the beginning of the 75th or 76th year of competition at Seekonk Speedway. So we've put together a full schedule anticipating we're going racing at our normal time starting in May. A couple highlights. Number one, there are 16 Fast Friday races set for 2021, a championship slate of 16 races, 18 races as part of Saturday night competition. That includes a Sunday afternoon to open the season. So 18 of those championship point events, 17 points races for the Pro Stock division with the way the schedule worked out in 2021. 3 times we'll have you join us on a Wednesday night in 2021. A couple special events, 2 of them with $10,000 to win races. One of them with the super late models, the Pro Stocks. The other one with the modifieds, the annual Open Wheel Wednesday. And an ISMA Super Modified special as part of the Boston Lily Memorial with the Neiman Midgets on a Wednesday night as well. And then we've got our 5 thrill shows returning to the calendar. Of course, fan favorites with the thrill shows. Some fireworks involved, some spectator drag, some Crazy 8, Figure 8 racing, and a lot more. Some new stuff coming in 2021 with the thrill shows as well. So as I mentioned, those are a couple of highlights just to kind of chew on as we get going. We're going to walk through basically every month of the schedule. And let's start with April. We'll talk through a couple, take a break, then we'll come back on the other side. April's going to start just like it does every year. No actual competition, just a couple practice sessions. You can call that a competition. April 10th and 24th, 2 Saturday afternoons, there's going to be practice sessions for every Seekonk division but the Bandoleros. The Bandoleros not included in those. They'll have their own practice separate. So, of course, you got your Pro Stocks, your late models, your Sportsmen, your Sport Trucks. You've got your Pure Stocks, your Legend Cars, and your Sport 4s, all going to be included in these practice sessions to open the year. We'll start things off in May, as we have every other year that's non-COVID related. On the 1st, Saturday, May 1st, we'll have our annual final practice session for our racing. And then the car swap meet and the car show is going to be going on in the front parking lot. This is Saturday, May 1st, 2021. This has become a fan favorite as well. Everybody comes out and enjoys this. Take a look at the antique cars, the newer cars. While you're doing that, you'll have the chance to walk in the front gate, which are open, free, to check out some of our competition on Saturday nights as they make their final tune-up just one day before hitting the track in competition for the first time in 2021. So that's always a great day. This year going to be coming on May 1st with this car swap meet, the car show. We've got the spectator drag, the burnout drag races that go on during the day as well on the track. We'll have a pause in the practice for that. So it's always fun to kick off the month of May. What's going to be even more fun than that is May 2nd, Sunday afternoon. I cannot wait to see the pro stocks, the late models, the sportsmen, and the trucks get on track in competition for the first time in over a year. It's going to be so exciting. Cannot wait for that day. Sunday, May 2nd, opening day for our Saturday night divisions. 40 laps for the pro stocks, 30 for the late models. A Power 5 race will open the season for the sportsmen, 30 laps, and the trucks with their 25-lap feature. Power 5 race, very simply, that means 5 extra laps on top of what they normally run, so it'll be 30 laps for the sportsmen. Those are sponsored by Helger South Coast Power Equipment in the sportsmen. And, of course, we'll have our Troy City Tactical Spectator Drags on Sunday afternoon, opening day as well. I mentioned the Helger South Coast Power Equipment, Troy City Tactical. Let's walk through our division sponsors on Saturday night. Pro Stocks, still looking for one. If you're out there looking to sponsor a division, give us a call. Late Models, Everett's Auto Parts is back on board as the Everett's Auto Parts Late Model Division. Sportsman, Rich Helger and his team at Helger South Coast Power Equipment, the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman. And a new sponsor for our sport trucks in 2021, Chaz Auto Body, has jumped on board to sponsor that division. The Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks will be on track in 2021. Thanks to them for jumping on board. And our spectator drags, once again, sponsored by Troy City Tactical. Thank you to them for coming back on the spectator drags. A 10-race series for the spectator drags. They'll run 5 times on our thrill shows and 5 times as part of our Saturday night slate to get through the season. Now, May opens with those 2 events in the opening weekend. The second weekend, we've got a Fast Friday practice on the 7th. Only Fast Friday divisions on that night. Practice session. May 8th, a regular Saturday night, the pro stocks, the late models, the sportsmen, and round 1 for the sport trucks, the Chaz Auto Body sport trucks, of the Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series. Now, this is coming back in 2021 after missing 2020 like everything else. Phil's Propane, located in Tiverton, supporting this Triple Crown Series for us once again in 2021. Very simply, it's a 3-race series for each division, 3 races, extra laps in everything but the Bandoleros as part of the series, and we'll crown a Phil's Propane champion at the end of it. So we'll accumulate the points from the 3 races in either a chase-style format like NASCAR does or an overall points format, which we'll let you know about later on. And we'll have a Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series champion outside of the regular division championships as well. Big thanks to Phil's Propane. Again, Phil Viveris and his team for jumping on board. So that's coming up on Saturday night, May the 8th. Our first regular Saturday night at 6 p.m. The Pro Stocks, the Late Models, the Sportsmen, and round 1 for the Sport Trucks, 35 laps. Fast forward a week, May 15th, we'll have the Pro Stocks, the Late Models, and the Trucks again. And the Sportsmen will open their Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series on May the 15th. Don't forget, this is just a podcast to run you through some of the highlight moments and what's going on, but we do have a full listing of the Triple Crown races and everything else going to be posted on our website. May the 21st, Fast Friday practice will take place on Friday night, Fast Friday divisions only. May the 22nd, we'll have our 4 Saturday night divisions, and the late models will have their first crack at the Phil's Propane Series on May 22nd. This is going to be 45 laps for the late models, something different than we've seen in years past. The late models, they've been 50 laps of the Triple Crowns. Next year are going to be 45 as we have planned right now. The Sportsmen and the Trucks also in action on the 22nd. May the 23rd, Racing with Rusty Wallace Racing Experience. You can come out, basically rent a race car for the day, and take some laps. They have great deals up on their website, Rusty Wallace Racing Experience. Check that out. That'll be on the 23rd. On the 28th, this is Memorial Day weekend as we wrap the month of May. We're going to open our Fast Friday slate. The Fast Friday opener, Friday, May 28th. The Legend Cars, the Pure Stocks, the Sport 4s, and the Bandoleros. Our division sponsors on Friday. Nick's Pit Stop is back to support the Legends division. Helger South Coast Power Equipment for the Pure Stocks. Sport 4s, still looking for one. I know Everett's Auto Parts jumped on board last year as the division sponsor of them. Looking for a sponsor. If not, Everett's is going to be in the running for that. And then we've got our Bandolero division sponsored by Seekonk Grand Prix, both of them, the Bandits and the Outlaws. Difference between the two, the Bandits, the younger of the Bandolero divisions, and then the Outlaws, a little bit older of the drivers to compete in the Bandolero divisions. Final event in the month of May is going to be on Memorial Day, May the 29th. It is no Saturday night racing this weekend. Those divisions will be off, but it's going to be our first thrill show of the season, the Memorial Day Spectacular, with the spectator drags, the car and truck enduro, the figure eight races, the powder puff races, and the crazy train races will open this thrill show season. Saturday, May 29th, celebrate Memorial Day with a Seekonk Speedway style. What's to be a great show. There'll be nothing on Sunday. Of course, the Memorial Day thrill show, if it rains out Saturday, will be run on Sunday. So that's the month of May and April in there as well. Our openers of our Saturday night racing coming on Sunday, May 2nd. Then we go to our Saturday night platform. A couple Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series races, a Power 5 race mixed in there. Going to be a little bit of different interesting things going on in the first month of the season. So that's the first month or so of our 2021 season. I've gone through some of the highlights of April and May. With that, let's take our first break of this edition of the podcast. When we come back, we'll start with the next couple months. We'll go through June, July, August, September, October. That's it. End of October, we're done for the 2021 season. As I mentioned, Jake Johnson is going to join us in the final segment, and Kevin Boucher, the race voice of Seekonk Speedway, is going to join us to talk a little bit about what he sees in this schedule as some of the highlights. Take a quick break. We'll be right back with you around the turn. Welcome back to the Seekonk Speedway podcast series, talking about our 2021 slate as part of the 75th or 76th, whichever way you want to go with it, season, at least the 75th year of full-time competition coming up in 2021. We've gone through April and May as part of our 2021 schedule. If you missed it, I mentioned we've got 16 Friday night races, 18 Saturday night races, 3 Wednesday night races, and 5 thrill shows scheduled for 2021. I mentioned those 18 Saturday night races are simply race competition with our pro stocks, late models, etc. The thrill shows are also on Saturdays, minus one special one coming up in 2021. Let's move on. Start with the month of June. Of course, we've mentioned our Fast Friday division. Starting on June 4th, we'll have round 1 of the Phil's Propane Series for the Bandolero Bandits and the Outlaws, sponsored by Phil's Propane and, of course, their division sponsor, Seekonk Grand Prix. We'll have our other divisions as well, the Sport 4, Pure Stocks, and Legends. June 5th, a Saturday night, round number 1 of the Phil's Propane Series for the Pro Stock, 60 laps in distance for that. The late model sportsmen and trucks will be with them on that first weekend of June. June the 9th, a Wednesday night, our first of 3 Wednesday night events of the 2021 season is going to begin. The ISMA Super Modifieds are on hand for the first time in many years. I believe it's going to be just about a decade, if not a little bit more, that the ISMA Super Modifieds will return to Seekonk Speedway Wednesday, June the 9th. Along with the NEMA Midgets and NEMA Lights as part of the Boston Louis Seymour Classic. And one confirmation already for this event, a big name, Ken Schrader, is going to be joining us, driving a NEMA Light once again in their main event. So nice to have Ken Schrader coming back for this Wednesday night special, June the 9th. Going to be a great show with winged midgets all night. Friday, June 11th, a regular night of Fast Friday. The Sport 4s get their crack at round 1 of the Phil's Series. The 12th, a Saturday night, we'll have round 2 of the Phil's Propane Series for the Sport Trucks, round 2 of the Power 5, the 5 Extra Lap Series for the Sportsmen, and this will be Wall of Fame night, Saturday, June 12th. Now, we did not have a 2020, I guess it's 2020 class. We had some guys that were nominated onto the Wall of Fame at the 2019 banquet as the 2020 class. So they are the class of 2020, but they were not inducted due to the COVID. So they're going to be inducted in 2021. So we'll have them as the class of 2020 and 2021, if that makes any sense, because of COVID. So they'll be honored on that night as well. Saturday night, June the 12th. Mark that down as going to be a historic night. Friday, June 18th, back on hand for Fast Friday. The Pure Stocks get their crack at round 1 of the Phil's Triple Crown with the other Fast Friday divisions. Saturday, June 19th, we introduce the Diamond Series for the first time. Again, something else scheduled to happen in 2020 that never happened. The Diamond Series, presented by Everett's Auto Parts. We've got Saturday, June 19th. The late models will go 50 laps in the Diamond Series. It will also be round 2 of the Triple Crown for the Sportsmen, 35 laps. The Pro Stocks and Trucks also in action. This is going to be Youth Sports Night with schools out. It's all presented by Cisco Boston. Thanks to them for jumping on board. But Youth Sports Night Schools are out. It's a great time for everybody. The kids come out in the summer. Really, that big hurrah as they've left school for the year, which in a weird 2020 way is going to mean that they've left remote learning for 2021. Is that not weird to say that we're seeing schools out and it's on a remote level? But nevertheless, June 19th, 2021, Schools Night Out. We've got that late model 50 and the Phil's Propane Triple Crown for the sportsmen. June 25th, the Friday night, the Legend Cars, round one of their Triple Crown presented by Phil's with our other Fast Friday divisions. The following night, June 26th, as we get ready to wrap June, it's round one of three in the Pro Stock Diamond Series, 50-lap Diamond Series. The late models will be on the track for round two of their Phil's Propane Triple Crown, 45 laps, the sportsmen, the trucks, and our pit party, where you, the fans, get to come down on the track and meet the drivers prior to the race. Also kind of happen on that night, June the 26th. So mark that down on 2021 as your calendar, especially if you have young kids. Want to come out and meet some of the drivers, or if you're an adult and you want to come out and meet some of the drivers, come on down, speak to our drivers. I know it's a great moment for some of the kids coming through the grandstands onto the track. Whether they've done it before or not, they still love it, getting to meet the drivers and walk around the track. So that's coming up on June 26th, 2021. On June 29th, we will have the annual Open Wheel Wednesday. This is a major event on our calendar every single year. Of course, also not happening in 2020. Let me back up. It's not June 29th. That's a Tuesday. Let me make it clear. It's June 30. June 30, 2021, Open Wheel Wednesday. $10,000 in the line for the Tri-Track Open Modified Series. Started way back in 2005, paying $10,000 to win for a modified race, which was unheard of then, and it's pretty much unheard of now in the open competition modified world up here in New England. $10,000 for Tri-Track that night. First of two stops for the Tri-Track. NEMA is back on hand. The NEMA Lights for the Dave Steele Memorial race. I believe that's a 50-lapper. And then we'll have the 350 small block super modifieds, similar to the super mods that will be here at the beginning of the month in June. But these are the small block cars coming as part of the Smack Tour on June the 30th. So that's coming up on Wednesday, June 30th. There you have the month of June, our first Wednesday night show and our second Wednesday night show, both included in that. I better change the 29th to the 30th. It's June 30th, 2021. All right, let's move on to July. As we open July on July 3rd, no racing for our Saturday night drivers. They'll have July 4th weekend off as we celebrate Independence Day, Seekonk style. Saturday, July 3rd, the fireworks are back. We've got the spectator drags, the car truck enduro, the crazy figure eight, and the powder puffs on July the 3rd. Saturday night, our thrill show coming on for that. We've got July 9th, Fast Friday, the Legend Cars, Pure Stock, Sport 4, and the Bandos in Phil's Propane Round 2. July 10th, second round of the Propane Triple Crown Series for the Pro Stocks. We've also got the Star Antique Racers coming in on July 10th, a throwback in time. July 16th, the Fast Friday with a Phil's Triple Crown race for the Pure Star. July 17th, Saturday night, we'll have the late models with a Diamond 50 and the trucks on the schedule right now for a Diamond 50. 50 laps for the Chaz Auto Body trucks. 50 circuits around on July 17th. 250s that night, one for the late models and one for the trucks. Fast Friday, July 23rd, Phil's Triple Crown round number 2 for the Sport 4. July 24th, middle of July, as we wrap the end of the year, in the summer, or at least the beginning of the summer. We're wrapping the beginning of the summer, if that makes any sense, with Shriners Night, presented by the RI Clowns. The Rhode Island Clowns coming in on July 24th. Always great with the youth trike races that night. We'll have a Pro Stock Diamond race, 50 laps as well. So July 24th, another date to mark down on your calendar. You really want to mark down all of them, but July 24th is a major one to me. The other major one is our second Wednesday night 10,000 to win race, our third Wednesday night race of the year. July 28th, it's a Wednesday night, the inaugural Bay State Classic coming up at Seekonk Speedway. Wednesday, July 28th, $10,000 to win, 150 laps for the Pro All-Star Series. Super late models on a Wednesday night, $10,000 on the line to the winner. The Pass Modifieds making their debut at Seekonk Speedway, a touring modified division with Pass, and another 50 lapper. We have a lot of these this year. 50 laps for the Sportsman. The Helker South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman Big 50 coming up on Wednesday, July 28th, merged with that 10K to win Pro Stock race and the Pass Modifieds on July 28th. Fast Friday coming up on July 30th. The Legends Round 2 for their Triple Crown with our other divisions. And then the Midsummer Thrill Show wraps up July the 31st. The Great American Trailer Race is back. The Spectator Drags, the Car Truck Enduro, and the Crazy Figure Eights. July 31st, the Midsummer Thrill Show. at Seekonk Speedway. So there you have the month of July. We've talked about our 3 Wednesday night events, which I discussed already. Of course, being the ISMA Super Modifieds, the $10,000 to win, Pro Stock Super Late Model race presented by Pass coming up at the end of July, and then back in the end of June, we got the Tri-Track Open Modified Series, the $10,000 to win. Tri-Track main event coming up in June. That event, of course, a big one as well. But this Pro Stock Base 8 Classic is a huge race for many of our Pro Stock drivers and the Pass Series coming in. So that's going to be a big one. July 28th on a Wednesday night. That's going to be big. All right, let's move on to August. Friday night, August 6th, opens the month with a Fast Friday Spectacular. The 7th is a Saturday night presented by Helger South Coast Power Equipment this night. Thanks to Rich and his team for coming on board that night. Late models, sportsmen, trucks, the near antique racers, the New England Antique Tour coming up on August the 7th. The big part of this night, though, is the American Racer Pro Stock 75. 75-lap Pro Stock race sponsored by American Racer, of course, our tire supplier for the Pro Stocks. Great company. Dave Lanz and his company jumping on board. American Racer, 75 laps in distance. Biggest Pro Stock race of the year for our weekly division, points-wise, coming up on Saturday, August the 7th. Now, this is a lot to consume in an audio podcast. I get it. I mentioned that it's on the website, the whole schedule release. That's a lot to consume as well. Coming up in January, once a week, we're going to break down some of our major events, whether it be Open Wheel Wednesday, the Past 10K race in July, the Phil's Propane Series, the Diamond Races, and another one we're going to really profile is the American Racer Pro Stock 75. Big thanks to them for coming on board. This is going to be a big one. Saturday, August the 7th, the 75-lap race for the Pro Stock division. On the 8th, it's a Sunday afternoon. We're going back to a 3-day weekend, August 6th, 7th, and 8th, 2021. Monster Truck Meltdown. The Monster Trucks are back at Seekonk Speedway. Going to be a great show. Monster Trucks on hand for that one on Sunday, August the 8th. Don't forget, we're going to have the spectator drags in there as well for this. This is a little bit of a different show. So you get the Monster Trucks, the spectator drags, and our first ever spectator drag showdown race. This is going to be a wild one. The spectator drag racers normally go one-on-one in the racetrack. On this night, they're going to go 10-on-10 or 11-on-11 or 15-on-15. This is going to be an actual competition race. They're going to double up like our Saturday night division drivers would and race around the Seekonk Speedway in their street cars. This is going to be a good one as part of this Monster Truck Thrill Show on August 8th. So mark that one down as well. August 13th, the Friday night, our Fast Friday series returns. August 14th, another fan favorite, the Fans on Parade, presented by Everett's Auto Parts. Hot dog and a Pepsi is free to everybody that walks in the front gate. The Fans on Parade, you know what that is when you go out and support your favorite drivers on the track in the intermission there. Always a great time. I vividly remember about 2 or 3 years ago, Kevin Boucher, one of our Pro Stock competitors occasionally, had fat head heads printed out. You know, the fat head sticker things? He had them put on sticks and printed out, and everybody walked around on his crew with a stick of Kevin Boucher's big head. And that's not saying he has a big head. That means it was big. It was blown up on a stick. That was cool. So they have that coming up on August the 14th, 2021. Of course, we'll have the Pro Stocks, a Diamond Race, 50 laps, and the Late Models, a Diamond Race, 50 laps. Kind of the wrap of that Diamond Series coming up on August the 14th. Sportsmen and trucks and spectator drags will all be a part of August 14th. August 20th and 21st of 2021. That's a mouthful. Big weekend at Seekonk Speedway. One of the bigger of the year with the finales of the Phil's Propane Series. Friday night, the Phil's Propane finale for the Legends, Pure Stock, Sport Force, and Bandos, all in one night. The final of the 3 races for each division in that series, and they're all together in the same night. So we'll crown 5 Triple Crown champions on Friday night. Extra distance for the Pure Stocks, 30 laps for them and the Legends, 30 laps for the Sport 4, and the normal 15 for both Bando divisions. That's on Friday, and then on Saturday, August 21st, Saturday night drivers get their chance at wrapping their Triple Crown Series. 60 for the Pro Stocks, 45 for the Late Models, 35 for the Sportsmen and the Trucks. Triple Crown finale weekend presented by Phil's Propane. Going to be a great weekend in August 20 and 21. August 27th, another race that's gaining momentum, now going to be moving into its second year. The Nick Wiscola Racing Legends Bash on Fast Friday. Big Money Legends race, 35 laps, Sport 4, Pure Stocks, and Bandos. Also going to be on the card for that one. And we will wrap August on August the 28th with the Pro Stocks, the late models, a Power 5 race for the sportsmen, and the sport trucks will wrap the month of August as we get ready to conclude our August month and move on to September and October of 2021. Take our second break, give you a chance to take a break, run to the bathroom, grab something to drink, do whatever you got to do. Take a quick break, play a little bit of that music. We'll come back around the corner. We'll talk about September and October, our final 2 months of the 2021 schedule. And then we're going to be joined by the race voice, Kevin Boucher, and to walk through with me our major events. We'll talk about the Triple Crown Series. We'll talk about Open Wheel Wednesday. We'll just talk about what's coming up in 2021. He's just excited as me and just as excited as all of you to get ready for 2021. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back, and we will move on to our final couple of months of the 2021 Seekonk Speedway schedule. Welcome back to our scheduled podcast as we wrap up. Final 2 months coming up. We're going to move through these a little bit quickly as we want to get Kevin Boucher in to talk about what he thinks about the 2021 schedule. These are two of our important months, though, to wrap the season. September starts off on the 4th with our Labor Day Thrill Show, the Spectator Drags, the Trailer Race, the Car and Truck Enduro, the Crazy 8 Figure Eights, the Powder Puff, and our fireworks on hand for our Labor Day Thrill Show. Love the fireworks that we put on at Seekonk. Really the best I've seen ever. So September 4th, the Labor Day Thrill Show. September 10th, our Fast Friday season begins to wind down with our 4 divisions, including our 2 bandos, so 5 divisions total. September the 11th, a Saturday night Remembrance Night, remembering 9/11, will be Scout Night at Seekonk Speedway. September 11th, 2021, our Pro Stocks, late models, sportsmen, and trucks on hand. September 17th, second to last race of the year on Fast Friday for our 4 divisions. September 18th, this is a night sponsored by Ocean State Oil once again in 2021. Thank you to them. They sponsor Ryan Vanessa in the Pro Stock division, if you didn't know that, but they are back on board for Pro Stock Title Night. September 18th, Pro Stocks, late model, sportsmen, and trucks with our Spectator Drags also on hand. September 18th, a little bit different scenario in 2021. I want to make sure I explain this well. Our Pro Stocks will wrap their championship battle on September 18th. That's a Saturday night. It'll be the final points race of the year for the Pro Stocks. However, the other divisions will not wrap their points that night. It'll still be the second to last race of the year for those other divisions, the late models, the sportsmen, and the trucks. The Pro Stocks will wrap their title race because the following Saturday, the 25th, is our annual Fall Classic, but the Pro All-Star Series past super late models are going to run that event instead of our regular weekly Pro Stocks. So we moved the Pro Stock title race to the 18th in order to give our guys a chance to run the DAV Fall Classic the following week with pass and not have to worry about points. So Pro Stock Title Night, the 18th of September. We'll crown our Pro Stock champion there, 17 races, barring we don't have rain out, 17 races. Fall Classic this year is going to be a little bit different. 3 total days of on-track activity. Thursday the 23rd is going to be just a practice session. That's it, just practice. Friday is our championship night for our Fast Friday divisions. The Fall Classic DAV Championship Night will crown our 2021 champions with the Legends, the Pure Stocks, the Sport Fours, the Bando Bandits, and Bando Outlaws. September 24th. September 25th, DAV Fall Classic Saturday. I mentioned the Pro Stocks have passed. The past Pro Stocks are back. 150 big laps for them. A points race for them. The late models, 50 laps in action. The Sportsman for 30 and the Truck for 30 as part of the Fall Classic. So extra distance for all those divisions. They will crown their 2021 champion at the Fall Classic. So that ends September. 1 more month to go and only 2 events in the month of October for 2021. We've got the Pumpkin Smash coming up on October the 9th. The Pumpkin Smash set to get into action with the Spectator Drags, the Car Truck Enduros, the Powder Puffs, the Costume Party, and the Costume Contest. That's always a good one. I don't usually dress up, but a lot of people do, and it's really fun to see who wins the judging. So Costume Contest at that one, the Figure Eights. And when they drive the Figure Eights, that's when they'll be smashing pumpkins. Yes, they will smash pumpkins. They will put pumpkins, and they will be driven over. If you've not been to it, I suggest going. It's really weird, but really fun at the same time. So that's October the 9th, Saturday. And the final event of our 2021 season must become the annual one, the Haunted 100, presented by the Tri-Track Series and presented with Seekonk Speedway and the Tri-Track Series. Saturday, October 23rd. 3 100-lap races in 2021 on this day. It's different than years past. 100 laps for the Tri-Track Series, Their championship race for 2021 should be a great one. 100 modified laps. 100 laps for the Pro All-Star Series. The past Pro Stocks are back for the second time in a month and the third time on the year. 3 pass races next year at Seekonk. 100 laps. That event used to be 150. Now it's 100 laps. And for the first time joining this event, the American-Canadian Tour is coming back to Seekonk for a 100-lapper. The ACT Tour, 100 laps, Saturday, October 23rd for the Haunted 100. So Pass, ACT, and the Tri-Track 100, October 23rd, 2021. That will wrap our 2021 season at Seekonk Speedway. Hey, I think it's a great schedule. Done a great job. Everybody in the office putting it together. Ed, David, everybody's done a great job putting together the 2021 schedule with a mix of everything for everybody. Extra distance races, regular weekly races, touring series divisions, modifieds, pro stocks, midgets, super modifieds, late models, bandoleros, sport fours, pure stocks, sportsmen. There's a big race for everybody involved. The bandos get the triple crowns. Our Friday night divisions have the triple crowns. We've got that big 35-lap Legends race presented by NLR, Nick Wiscola Racing. Big Saturday night races, whether it be diamond races, triple crown, the American Racer Pro Stock 75-lapper, the biggest distance race of the year of our Saturday night divisions, the American Racer 75 in August. It's a heck of a schedule. And I really hope that the vaccine positivity that's come out is a direct path back to normal life in our 75th year of full-time action in 2021 at Seekonk Speedway. There's a look at a little bit of the highlights and the whole schedule. I'm probably nauseating you with it now, but you can check it out on SeekonkSpeedway.com. Maybe even in a simpler form than I've been able to recite to you at different times in this podcast. It is live online. You can take a look at the posters, the press release. Everything's there. So if you missed anything, don't worry. You can either back up in the podcast and listen again and grab a pen and paper, or you can just go online and read it at SeekonkSpeedway.com. Now, 2 more segments left in this podcast. We're going to take one more break. Actually, 2 more breaks in the podcast. And we're going to welcome in 2 guests. First, we're going to welcome in Kevin Boucher, the voice of Seekonk Speedway, is going to join us for a few minutes to talk about some of the highlights of the season at Seekonk Speedway. Excited to have him on to talk about the schedule. Then we're going to hear from Jake Johnson. I mentioned it at the beginning of the show, but the winner of the Snowflake 100 down at Five Flags Speedway, the biggest pro late model race of the year, in my opinion, and it's many, many hours from home. From Seekonk Speedway to Five Flags Speedway in Florida is probably about 20 hours roughly, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, but it's somewhere around there. It's not a quick trip, a snap of finger. Jake went down there and won the Snowflake 100. We brought him on as our 2020 Legends champion previously, but want to talk to him about this big win, definitely the biggest of his career, I think. We'll ask him. But I think this is the biggest win of Jake Johnson's career, and we're happy to talk to him about it coming up in the final episode, the final segment of this episode of the podcast. Stick with us. I know it's been a little bit talking about the schedule, but 2 special guests are coming around the turn. You'll be able to hear somebody other than me speak with you here on the Seekonk Speedway podcast series. Stick with us. We will be right back. All right, welcome back to the podcast, the schedule podcast for 2021. 2 more segments to go in this edition. I kind of teased it a moment ago, but we're welcoming in Kevin Boucher, the voice of Seekonk Speedway now. He's going to talk to us about some of the highlights for a few minutes. And then we'll have Jake Johnson in the final segment, the winner of that big Snowflake 100 at Five Flags Speedway. Kevin, I feel like it's been a while since we've talked. We had 10 Fast Friday races this year. A good year, nonetheless. Some of the best Fast Friday racing we've seen. But I think you included are going to share the same sentiment that I do, that we cannot wait to see our Saturday night divisions back in 2021. And there's so many big events on this schedule. I've been telling everybody endlessly for the last 30 minutes how big this schedule is, but I think you'll agree, this might be one of the better schedules we've seen in many, many years come together.
You know, when we sat a year ago looking at the 2020 schedule, my excitement level was at an all-time high. Coming back and celebrating our 75th anniversary, so many great things on the schedule, and boy, did that go to the wayside in a heartbeat due to the pandemic. So with everything that's been going on, looking at the 2021 schedule, we'll call it 75.1
right,
for a celebration. And I'll tell you what, my excitement level hasn't dropped a bit. Looking at seeing some of the things that are coming up, the Supers coming back, 3 pass races, Open Wheel Wednesday, the Haunted 100, and now with the ACT race, I tell you what, if you're not there catching the action, you're going to hear about it because it is such a great schedule we've got.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things. We talked about the Phil's Propane Series returning, the American Racer Pro Stock 75 back on the schedule this year. Those major events you mentioned as well. Our thrill shows back, which I know is a big part of some of our fan base at Seekonk as well. Those thrill shows pack the track every single time we have a thrill show. We've got the big modified races. I mean, you look at this, Kevin. 3 Wednesday night races. I want to start with that. We've got the Open Wheel Wednesday, June 30th, the 10,000 to win tri-track, the NEMA Lights, and the 350 small block supers. If you back up a couple weeks, you've got ISMA June 9th, Wednesday, June 9th, ISMA Super Modifieds, and the Boston Louie for the midgets and the NEMA Lights as well. And then in July, this is going to be my personal favorite, I think, of the new schedule for 2021. I love the modifieds. I support the modifieds. This, to me, though, is my favorite of the whole schedule. The 150 per pass for $10,000. Now, we've seen 150-lap pro stock races, maybe even 200 laps at $10K to win. But it seems like, to me, when you make it a pass race and you bring in those pass tour regulars, the Ben Rose, the DJ Shaws, to go up against Dave Darwin and Dylan Estrella, that seems like a phenomenal show to me. We've seen it with Pass last year. 2 years ago, I guess now, or well, maybe it was last year since we're still in 2020. When Pass comes in, it just creates this weird feeling and this big time race element for me that really puts it over the edge.
You know, I grew up in the pro stock era. I started going in the late 70s, and it was right about the time that D'Anthony started the pro stocks. So I've grown up with that division. I've seen the greats come through. I've seen the outsiders like Babe Branscombe, like Bobby Gahan come in and win. I've seen Ralph Nason come down, Dale Shaw. All the guys from up north come and try to take home some of the gold, and how difficult it can be to beat the regulars. In a 150-lap race, we've had a few of them in the past, and I'll tell you what, Dave Darling, Tom Scully Jr., some of the hot shots, our regulars, have always given them a hard time at Seekonk. And now to put $10,000 on the line, I'll tell you what, it's being a pass race, being that kind of money, I'm going to expect every single hot driver, every single top driver in New England to be down at the third mile that night and celebrate and try to put on a show for the fans. I tell you what, as a pro stock fan, it does not get any better than that. It reminds me of the old, back in the early 80s, the Bush North would come to town, and at that time they were very similar to our pro stocks. And we had a 150-lap race, and Roger Godin and Rick Martin dominated that race. Rick Martin took home the win that day. When the Yak Tour was pro stocks and they came to town, Rick Martin would put a spanking on them as well, along with a lot of, the Johnny Tripps and the Dick Hoolahans and the Lenny Ellises, the Vinny Anarumos, the Freddie Estelles. All were hot then, and some of them still are. I'm excited about this race. Being a pro stock fan for over 30 years, you know what? It really doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, it definitely. And this is going to be a major event. We've got our 75-lap American Racer Pro Stock race coming up in August. That's a big event for the weekly division as well. We all know how successful Dave Darwin's been, not only with championships, but when it comes to extra distance pro stock races, I put all my chips in Dave Darwin's corner over the last couple years. Tom Scully Jr., his chips, he's got some chips in the fight as well. If you want to do it that way, Dylan Estrella. But Dave Darwin gets most of them for the extra distance races. He's going to be a threat in that pass race as well. 3 pass races. We mentioned July's 10K. The DAV also, September 25th. And then the Haunted 100 coming up in October. Kevin, how about that Haunted 100? You got 3 races here. Tri-track for 100 laps. Pass for 100 laps. Act for 100 laps. The late models have been a part of this show with a 50-lapper. This kind of brings it to a new element, though. This is going to be different. With a 100-lap Act late model style race in here, you got the Act Tour regulars coming in who are going to be hot on their championship battle. This is the title race for the Act Tour. And you're going to have the Vinny Renegados, the Jerry DeCasparis, competing as our late model drivers in with the modifieds with a 100-lap pass race, which is a different animal than 150. Only 100 laps, they've got to kind of not save as much equipment. This seems to me what a great way to end 2021 that's going to be.
The pits were overflowing in 2019 at the Haunted 100 with the modifieds, the Pass Tour, and the late models. There was literally barely enough parking for the cars.
Yeah.
I wonder how many more cars we're going to get for this show in 2021. Wayne Darling has put on a great show for this event the last few years, and he just finds a way every year to make it a little bit better and a little bit stronger. And this year is no exception. Looking to see what he's doing this year with Pass and Act comboing for that night, it's going to be an absolute phenomenal show with the drivers from the Seekonk Pro Stocks to the Seekonk late models. You'll get late models that run Waterford. You'll get late models that run Thompson, all to come down and run with Act on this final event of the year.
Yeah, this is going to be, I mentioned the past Pro Stock race in July is my favorite. This is right up there. Open Wheel Wednesday's right up there. All our weekly stuff is right up there, too, with all the special events we have. But that Haunted 100 is going to be a great way to end 2020. Before we let Kevin go, want to get his opinion on some of this weekly stuff and what we've been able to do. The Diamond races are going to take place for the Pro Stocks and the late models. 50 laps, 3 races in the Diamond Series. We've got the Triple Crown, which I've talked a lot about already in this episode. 3 races, extra distance, its own championship on Friday and Saturday night, so both nights there. We've got the Power 5 races for some of the divisions mixed in. We've got the big Nicholas Scholar Racing Legends race scheduled in September. If you back up through the season, we've got some other major things like Wall of Fame night in there. Fans on Parade is back. Our pit party. I don't know, Kevin. It just seems like every year, and this is a lot of credit to Ed St. Germain and Dave Alburn, they seem to find races to put in the schedule that are different. You got a 50-lap Sportsman race next year on July 28th with that Pro Stock race. 50 laps for the Sportsman on a Wednesday night. That's cool. 50 laps for the trucks on a Saturday night. The weekly program, not only on Saturday, but on Friday as well. We saw how strong it was this year on Friday, even in the middle of a pandemic. I think these levels are just going to keep getting better and better as we go back to, I guess, a normal world, hopefully, at least by the summer of 2021, where we might have overfilled pit areas on Friday and Saturday if everything pans out to our favor.
Our Fast Fridays grew tremendously this year with everything that was going on. We saw new faces, new teams. The only thing missing on Fridays basically were our fans and some of our Rhode Island competitors that weren't able to make it. 2021, with everything hopefully back open, you're right. Over bursting at the seams, I can really see that. The Legend cars have really put on a great show week after week. The Pure Stocks, the Sport 4s, the Bandoleros have all gotten together. They've put on some great races. And more importantly than that, to me, is the camaraderie that you see in the pit area with these teams. They're right there helping each other out. You need something, they're there for you. And if they can't help you out, they'll find somebody who can. You don't see that at a lot of racetracks. For some reason, Seekonk just brings out the best in people in the pit area, and it overflows onto the track with the great racing we've seen with the Fast Fridays. And the Saturday guys, well, they've, for the most part, had the year off. They had the benefit of going to a different track this year to put on a show, and they did a great job there as well. But, you know, the old saying, there's no place like home. And when they get back out on that track, boy, are they going to be ready for battle.
Yeah, this is going to be, in my opinion, it might be one of the better years in the history of Seekonk Speedway. You look back at the years, of course, I've only been alive for 25 or 24. I can't even remember how old I am these days. I've only been alive for some of them, only been at the track for some of them. Kevin's been around longer than me. There's other people that have been around way longer than both of us that are either still alive or recently passed that have told their stories as part of our 75-year series that will be starting up again over the winter. This 2021 schedule, and Kevin, you said it right, it's bursting at the seams. There's so many different things for so many different people. And how about we touch on one more final thing? Our thrill shows. Kevin's been a part of these thrill shows for years. Kevin, these are some of our packed events. And when I say packed, these thrill shows put Seekonk Speedway at a new level. There are so many fans that come out of the woodworks for these shows. Our fireworks, our spectator drags, our car truck enduros, our figure eights, the powder puffs, the Great American Trailer Race, the Crazy Train, the monster trucks. There's so much involved in these thrill shows, and it's a different level for you as well. There's a different level I'm sure you have to take, getting the crowd excited on a Friday or Saturday for competition, racing, fender racing, versus a thrill show. Some similar fans, but other times you get fans that walk in for a thrill show that have never been to a Friday and Saturday race, and that's going to be interesting for you to take that perspective over the mic.
It really is, because it's a totally different atmosphere. Friday nights and Saturday nights, it's fun. The fans are fantastic. This is not a knock or a downgrade from them. But when you get into a thrill show crowd, you've got people looking to unwind from the week, enjoy. Their buddies are out there racing and having a good time, smashing up some cars, and they're there cheering them on for everything they have. And the excitement level that they bring, I feed off of, and it brings me to a whole new level. It is such an exciting event, and I'll tell you what, after a year of missing those events, myself, and I can guarantee every fan is going to be at a new level themselves, because this is something we all miss. It's our way to unwind after a tough week, after a tough month of work, of doing stuff around the yard, doing stuff around the house. This is a way to get away from it all for a few hours and have some fun, see some entertainment, have some laughs, sing, dance, whatever we've got going on. And I know they're missing it too. They're missing that little piece of excitement that they haven't had since November of 2019. And come May, when we have our first thrill show on Memorial Day weekend, these fans are going to be ready for a party. And boy, I hope I'm up for it.
Oh, this is going to be, oh my goodness. I said it at the beginning of the podcast. I cannot wait for May 2nd. Even, I'll take April 10th with practice on the track. I'll take April 24th, May 1 with the car show, the swap meet, the practice on that day. But May 2nd, when we walk in there at 9 a.m., when the pit gates slide open and the cars come in for the first time in competition in over a year, it's going to be a spectacle. And in a weird way, I think Kevin would say the same thing. We might have goosebumps. It's weird how it just happens for you when you get to the track. Go ahead.
People
Kevin.
sit every winter. People sit every winter waiting for opening day for baseball. It's a ritual, if you will, where they get ready and they sit down and they watch that first pitch from Fenway and sit through their home team all year long. It doesn't matter who you root for, but they wait. Those baseball fanatics wait for that day, and they have it on that calendar. May 2nd is a day that us race fans have circled on our calendar to walk through those gates, smell the fresh rubber, the burning fuel, just the sounds, the sights, the smells, the feel, and you're right, the goosebumps will be there, because we miss it, and we can't wait to get back at it.
Yeah.
And it's a special day for a lot of us, because it's our release. You know, Seekonk, for a lot of people, that's their Graceland. That's what they enjoy. That's what I enjoy. And it's been a tough year. We've had some fun, but not like we normally do. And I can't wait to get back in that rhythm.
Yeah, it's so much about a family, too. Not only our drivers, but even the staff. You know, and a lot of you listening don't, you know, you really don't see the paddock area. Some of you only go in the grandstands. So you don't see the camaraderie with the teams at times. The staff, all such good friends. I mean, it's just going to be a great time to get back to racing. And we sit here in December, just before Christmas. You got January, February, March. We're really 4-ish months away from things kind of starting up with some practice, some track rentals. And we're really about 5 months from opening day, which seems far away. But in the COVID year, where things kind of snapped a finger and went by in a weird way, it's coming quick. May 2nd.
The days drag, but May 2nd will be here before you know it.
Yeah.
And we'll be standing in line, waiting to get in the gates, renewing old friendships, whether it's from the competitors, whether it's from the staff, you know, just getting back at it, seeing the smiles, and everybody having a fresh new outlook, because even the competitors know that, yeah, this was a tough year, and they didn't have to sit there fixing the car week after week, trying to make it better for the next week. And it's something that they all sit back and go, geez, you know what? It was nice to have that relaxation, but man, it's a fix that these guys need, and gals. We have plenty of female drivers, so don't think I forgot about them. It's something that these drivers need, is to get back out there and get their fix again.
Yeah, it's going to be a thrilling 2021 season. Again, I mentioned it earlier, but the vaccines, the positive news around that, everything going on with that, we're confident in what's coming for 2021 and looking forward to hitting the track once again. course, Kevin will have our virtual iRacing series, a schedule announcement coming up about that here in the next week or two as we get ready to kick that off again in January. 6 races, a little bit of a preview. 6 races, 6 different tracks with 6 different cars. We're going to record a legend car, a late model, an ARCA car, a modified. Little preview on that. Stick with us here over the next couple weeks as we'll have some details on that virtual tour. Kevin, I'm sure, will be back in the booth with us for that as well to walk you through some of the virtual racing, and then we'll hit the track in real life on Sunday, May 2nd, 2021. If you've missed any of our scheduled talk, you can catch it at SeekonkSpeedway.com or hold that button and backtrack and listen to me speak again for, I think it was about 45 minutes with Kevin's interview included as well. I spoke about the schedule. You may listen to it again and again. I know you like to listen to me and Kevin. Just keep listening, and you'll be able to hear all about the schedule. Kevin, want to thank you for some time for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in the virtual booth coming up starting in January again, and then back at the track coming May.
I'm looking forward to it. It's a nice break from the winter doldrums is to get back on that mic and call some familiar names. But, man, getting back up in that tower on May 2nd is going to be it's going to be a blessing for me, and I hope for everybody else that gets to go.
Just picture the drivers, the fans walking through the gates at Seekonk Speedway for the first time in over a year. It's going to feel like the first time ever that the track's open, but it's 75 years or 75.1 or 76. Leave that for another conversation. Thanks again for Kevin for joining us. When we come back, we're going to talk to the winner of the Snowflake 100 at the Five Flags Speedway. Jake Johnson will join us. Great interview with him, talking about his victory, the tech inspection process, the final lap, the emotions of it, what he's feeling now over a week later. Don't want to miss this one. Coming up right around the break, Jake's going to join us, and we will wrap the show right here for you on the Seekonk Speedway podcast series. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Final segment of the podcast. I want to thank Kevin Boucher for joining us for a few minutes to talk about the 2021 schedule. Great schedule put together by the team at the track, and looking forward to seeing what happens starting in April with some practice and May with some racing, hopefully with fans in the grandstands and Saturday night divisions back on the track. As part of our final segment, I want to welcome in our second special guest of the show. This special guest is a driver, our 2020 Next Pit Stop Legend Cars champion at Seekonk. We're not going to touch on that, though, in this interview because he's got bigger fish that he's just fried, literally, in Florida in the last couple of weeks. This is Jake Johnson picking up the win in the Snowflake 100 at Five Flags Speedway. And for those who don't know, you take our late models at Seekonk, our Pro Stocks, kind of merge the two of them together. Basically, you've got a Pro late model. That's what they run down south. And he went down to Five Flags Speedway on Snowball Derby weekend and picked up the win in the Saturday night show, the 100-lap main event. This is probably the biggest pro late model race of the season in the country, if not one of the top 3. And he goes down and picks up the win in a car that is a Rowdy manufacturing car, I believe. We're going to confirm with him. Chase Pistone on board, Dad Andy Johnson, who many of you know on board, and of course Jake driving with a couple other pieces in the middle. Jake, walk me through. I mean, this is a big deal, man, to go down there and win the Snowflake 100. We're talking basically a week or so after you took the checkered flag first, the emotion of all that. What are you feeling like now? Is it sunk in at all that you were able to go down there and win that prestigious race?
Well, you look back on the pictures and kind of start to realize, like, it actually happened. But if you think about it, it just feels like a normal, everyday type of deal until you think about it. You're like, wow, we did it, And that's kind of when you get the special feeling. It's like, finally, we pulled off the big show,
Yeah, so, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but this is definitely the biggest win in your racing career, right?
Yeah, definitely by a long shot.
So it takes him way above. Those Legend Cars wins at Seekonk are great. Those late model wins at Seekonk, the Pro Stock win at Seekonk, those are all great on his accomplishment list. And those are some of the best wins he's had in New England. But to go down and win this Snowflake 100 is incredible. You had a fast car in the practice. You had a fast car Saturday in practice. I looked at the timing sheet, said, wow, Jake's pretty good. He'll qualify in the top 30 easily. He'll get into the show. And then all of a sudden, qualifying doesn't go as well. So you have to start outside pole. You win the LCQ. I mean, after qualifying, what's going through your mind? Are you nervous at all that you didn't qualify in the top 30 and you have to go to this LCQ where anything, this is basically a hooligans race, like they call it at the Oxford 250. Anything can happen in this race. A lot of carnage usually.
Yeah, well, after we qualified, I thought we put down a solid lap, and no one on the crew can have phones or anything near me or anything, so you don't really know. And I felt confident with my lap, and I was like, there's no way we're not in the top 30. We practiced good, and even our lap itself, it was around what we were mocking up for time trials, about the same speed. It's just everyone else picked it up so much. So someone walked by an official and said outside pole. So I generally thought like we were second for the feature. And that's when I realized when they're like, we need to line up now, that it was for the LCQ. And I was just really embarrassed because how confident I was going into that qualifying. And I think it's just lack of experience doing it. And we didn't really like focus on it a ton practicing. So I was just amazed that we didn't make it.
Well, so you get in the LCQ, get to the lead early, maybe lap 8, 9, 10, drive away with that, pick up that win. Then you're starting 31st in this field. I mean, again, this is the top Pro 8 mile drivers, at least in the Southeast, but in my opinion, probably most of the country. And you start 31st and kind of methodically work your way up. I mean, you're working your way up through the field. Was there any point in that race until the last 2 or 3 laps that you realistically felt like you had a shot at winning? I mean, you get up to like 15th at whatever lap that was. Do you think as a driver I can go up there and win the race, or were you looking for just the top 10 and clean at that point?
Well, from the start of the race, I knew we had a good race car, even before we took the green, just from the LCQ and just all the practice. So I didn't know how good it was because in practice you never really get to compare race trim to everyone else because everyone's on their own thing doing qualifying runs. So I just took it easy and just whatever the car can give me. And once I got around 15th, and I was like, maybe top 10, maybe even a top 5. You know, the car feels good, and I haven't really been too aggressive with it, so still got a lot left. And then once we cracked the top 10, I knew for sure I could definitely get to the top 5 if I just everything played out right. And that's when, once I got to the top 5 and started looking around, it was the wildest feeling looking at all the people. You're like they're the best right there, and you're just looking around. You're like, I'm next to them, you know. And it's not just I happen to be up here. It's like we worked for it. So you look around, and it's a special feeling. And then those last 10 laps or so, then it's like anything can happen. So I'm gonna lay back, and I'm just gonna save what's left just in case we have a green white checkered. And there we were. I mean, it was just as I went, the more feeling that we can do better. We can do better. I just wanted to stay humble while I was driving and just drive humbly, and then it just paid off.
Yeah, so it works out in your favor. You go down the back straightaway in the last lap. At that point, content with third place in the Snowflake 100, I'm sure elated. Those two guys, Stephen Nasse, Bubba Pollard, have a relationship that's not that great. They get together. Pollard goes around. Been a lot of debate whether he could have saved it, whether he decided to spin, whatever. I mean, so you cross the line second under the checkered flag. You saw it happen in front of you. You see there's contact. You see one car goes around. When you crossed the line, did you think at all that they'd give it to you, that you'd actually win the race if they put Nasse back, or was that not even an option in your head at that point?
I was psyched with second. This is the best day ever. And then like in the back of my head, I didn't want to think about it, but like, they did get together. There could be a possibility, they could DQ him. But I was like, it's second. This is great. I'm freaking out. I'm all pumped up. Just in the back of my head, like lingering was the thought, like, well, that could happen. And then like, as soon as like we got into the pits and I was sitting in tech, I was like, I've got second. It cleared my mind. And then all of a sudden, the PFC salesman, the brake company, comes running over, telling me I won. I was like, no, I finished second. Like, just thinking maybe. He's like, no, they DQ'd him. Like, you're the winner. And then it's just like, all just kind of sunk in right then and there.
Wow, so you drive back to the front straightaway, Polish victory lap. Was that the PFC salesman sitting in the car with you? Was that who was on the door?
No, that was so they had a tech official waiting in tech just to make sure the drivers weren't doing anything because they were just, I mean, how tough tech is down there, and it's probably the best thing for the races.
Right.
How strict their tech is, just because you always have a true and honest winner, and if you do win, like, you got the true sensation of you did it like the right way. And
right.
I think that's part of it. What makes that race so so prestigious is just how strict the tech is. So they have people all over the track, just always watching. So they had a few people sitting there where all the cars come right off the track. They drive them straight to tech, and he was sitting there just making sure all the drivers just get out of the cars and they don't do nothing. They scan you down with a radar to make sure you have no metal on you or anything. They pat you down, everything. I mean, it's wild. And so he got in the car with me just to make sure I didn't do anything or touch anything.
Gotcha.
So it was just I think he was like one of the higher guys up in the tech, because the tech's so big there. They have a good, I'd say at least 20, maybe 30 officials, like just working to get the whole race to go. Like, it's a wild event for sure.
Well, so you get to victory lane, you get out, you got the elation of victory lane, which is cool. You know, you just won the Snowflake 100. There's a packed crowd there, a lot of photographers, your family, your crew, your friends. Then you go through the tech process, which you just talked about. It's crazy down there, Ricky Brooks. I mean, you know, you don't want to say, hey, I hope everything's legal. You know that Chase Pistone's prepared a good race car. You guys are legal. Is there still some nerve that you'll have Ricky Brooks looking over that car? I mean, were you nervous in the tech shed, kind of wondering, gee, is he going to find something that we forgot about? Is he going to find something and kind of bust our butt about it? Is there any of those nerves at that point?
It's the whole different type of nerve. It's not as if I hope he doesn't find something that we're doing wrong, as much as I hope we did everything perfect. Yeah. Like, we didn't like skip over something. Not that like I don't think anyone goes to that race with intent of cheating.
Right.
I don't think, because just you know what you're going into. I think it's who paid attention to every detail, because that's what's so cool about it. It's like they're so into the tech, and I mean the race is nightmares tech in a sense, but
right.
But that's it. It's cool because it's like a whole nother race, if you will. Just sitting there like everything, like they start rethinking everything, like this and this and this, you know. Like, this can vary no matter, like, just what happens on the track. So there's always a lot of nerve. I think that's for anyone. Like, even if you know, like, you've gone through everything twice, like, and just checked everything, there's still always nerve, because there's always a variable, because something could happen on the track and it moves this or that. And it's just I think, like, the crowd around tech was massive. Like the crowd in tech, I've seen like local tracks not have the biggest crowds in the stands as there was in tech right there. So
right.
I mean, it's just a cool feeling, you know, and it's nerve wracking a little bit, but at the same time, you're gonna enjoy it for what it is, because it's such a cool experience.
Well, so you get the trophy, and we've seen that picture on Facebook, all over social media, where you were handed the trophy. Take a couple photos. I mean, you have a chance to let it sink in that night. You get home, you know, a couple days later. Your family gets home. What has this last week been like for you? Have you rerun Victory Lane in your head every day? I mean, what the heck have you been doing to relive this and think about what accomplishment you're able to just put together?
A lot of pictures and a lot of rewatching the race and just trying to just figure out what happened and, you know, how it happened. Just rethinking the weekend and the changes you made to the car, and just trying to absorb everything that happened and use it almost as a learning tool, so you can repeat the process and even find things that you did wrong. Because I mean, there's plenty of errors and mistakes we made throughout the weekend, like qualifying, for example, and Friday we kind of messed up the car a little bit, and we gotta get it back on track. And just how we race too, and like as a driver, the mindset you got to go out there with sometimes isn't always get to the front and just go win it. But when you start working with those longer races, you mentally have to prepare yourself just to what you can get, you have to take. And then once you get close, then you go back to that 30 lap, you know, short track, local race. And that's what you're going to be prepared for.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we got two more questions for you. Number one, you just won the Snowflake 100. You went down to Florida, which is a different environment, not only in the racing world, but in the COVID world. You're back home now. It's sunk in, at least to some level. You're going to look back at this 2, 3, 4 years as now, maybe as your stepping stone, right? In a COVID year to win the championship again at Seekonk in a legend car, back in that, then to win the Snowflake 100. Big year for you, even in the middle of COVID. What has this taught you about where you're at as a driver? I mean, is the Snowball Derby next for you now? I mean, you still got the legend car, which you've had a lot of success with. I know you're enjoying working on yourself and kind of preparing that and getting it ready. you go down and win a big race like this. Where are you at as a driver for your future on kind of where you want to go? I mean, are you content in the pro late models, maybe the super late models? Do you want to try to get higher up the ladder? Is ARCA out of the question due to funding? I mean, and what's kind of running through your mind about your future?
Um, I really like my goal in the end is just do it for a long time. Like, not race a lot, but just do it for a long time, as many years to come, and go for big wins. So the next thing really on my list to get after is the Oxford 250, and I think that, and maybe we're thinking about, because you can rent just because the built motors in super late models are so expensive, you can rent one. And we were thinking about maybe dabbling our toes soon with that, but it's all up in the air right now. It's so far to come. But definitely our next goal and where we want to be is in victory lane at the Oxford 250. I think that's definitely the next step. And after that, it's kind of losing the grassroots. And that's what I love about the racing is the level we are, is we're still not all, I mean, it's definitely ran professional, but it's not all the way there. And you're still at that, hometown type of vibe to the racetrack. And that's what I love, is that feeling that is like the local presence of it. So
yeah, definitely. And he sees that. He sees that at Seekonk, goes down, sees that at Five Flags in Victory Lane, which is I've been in Victory Lane as a media member at the Snowflake and the Snowball Derby, and it's surreal in itself as a media member. Never mind being the driver that just won. Jake, there's other people. I mentioned Dad. I mentioned Chase Pistone, which I know you're really high on. He's obviously very successful and very smart, very detail oriented at what he does. But who are the people that you need to thank, including those two that got you to this level to go down there and win this race?
I gotta thank a lot of people also. Really, it's a lot more. There's a lot to do with team, and it's also a lot to do with having the right stuff. But you can't just have the right stuff without the right people too. So you have to have that perfect combination. So car-wise, we have Rowdy Chassis, and they do a great job. And up here, I also have a distance chassis, and it's tough to go back and forth from just the distance apart. But they both do a really great job. And then when it comes to shocks, Ernst Performance, he kills it north, south, everywhere we go, right there. And then Hightower Transmissions, then for equipment. And also like Nat up home and Robbie White Motors down south. It's just a lot of variance between that, and you're just going to have that. And you got to be thankful for those people, because without them, you got to realize your team wouldn't be where it's at. But other than that, what we're bringing to the track, family, this is a huge part, just making it the atmosphere that it is and having fun. So family and friends, so my parents, and of course, like my girlfriend, Raymond and Joey, they went down. And I mean, they helped the whole time. They also, you gotta keep racing fun. That's a big part of it. And without having people that you enjoy being around, and you're not having fun, then why are you doing it?
Yeah.
And I also gotta thank Chase Pistone, of course. Without him, I mean, he's the brains behind the operation. Me and my dad, we know enough, but once you get to that type of racing, you need a little more help, and he was the man when it came to that.
Yeah, definitely. And Chase, obviously, a major part of this, and all the other people that he mentioned, and the car. I mean, take it all the way down to the chassis. Without these things, obviously, Jake not going to be even a factor in that race if you don't put all these pieces together. And it takes that for all these pieces to come together in order to win the Snowflake 100, the Snowball Derby, the Oxford 250, anything involved at this level of racing. Jake's taken almost 20 minutes to talk to us. I know he's still elated from this, mingling back and forth between a little bit of schoolwork here and there over the course of the last couple weeks and the couple weeks coming. Of course, the holiday involved. Jake, want to thank you for some time. We congratulate you again on the awesome win, and look forward to seeing you back home at 2021. It's kind of, I don't know, maybe the big fish in the small pond in a sense, a little bit.
That'd be cool to call it.
Well, Jake's been with us, and we appreciate his company here for a few minutes. And with that, that's going to end this episode of the Seekonk Speedway podcast series. Want to thank Kevin Boucher for joining us to discuss a little bit of the 2021 schedule. You can see all that at SeekonkSpeedway.com and live on our social media channels. We've gone through every single month with you here on the episode. Definitely want you, if you missed any of it, just scroll back, take a listen. Our thrill shows, our Friday night, our Saturday night, our special events, so much going on in 2021, and we hope with the positive news about the vaccines that we will be back to somewhat of a normal life, hopefully, by the end of 2021 at the Action Track of the East. For Jake Johnson, just joined us, winner of the Snowflake 100, Kevin Boucher, the race voice, our track announcer. I'm Kyle Souza from Souza Media. Thanks for joining us. Stick together. We'll have another podcast series coming out back to our 75 years history over the winter months. Have a good night.